Hello and welcome wherever you're watching from the world. This is Chemical Knowledge Hub TV. I'm Jo Pickard, and we are dedicated to bringing you interviews with the industry's finest. Minakem has established itself among the world leaders in the life sciences, chemistry, and high tech industry, and it's my pleasure to talk to Managing Director Thierry Durand. Thierry, it's great to see you all the way from France today. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. Nice seeing you today. Meeting with you. I'm doing fine. And Minakem is doing fine and great. I will say today.
So, what other challenges do you think the crisis has revealed for the pharma industry?
Okay, it's a very good question. And this crisis, I revealed that in fact I mean, Western countries were too much, let's say, basing our pharma supply chain. If we're speaking only about pharma, of course, pharma supply chain on the Asian, let's say, suppliers, especially for APIs. This is what it has revealed. So there are some shortage of API, chemical APIs in the Western countries and there is a lack of stock. It has also revealed that as European companies, we were not that much anymore in the picture for the supply of generic products because more than 80% are coming from Asia, mostly from China regarding APIs, where the formulated product in Asia come mostly from India. So this is the main, let's say, the main thing we have seen is we supply too much from Asia, and it's coming, and it's all the supply chain. It's from the API, being the for the chemicals, the end of the supply chain, going down to or backwards to the raw materials.
Mm. It's a huge problem, isn't it, Europe wide? And thinking about that specific point, do you think maybe moving forward throughout the rest of the crisis, but also afterwards, do you think that as an industry we need to change and try and create and source more locally?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think it's in all our people's minds of Western countries. Uh, um, Other authorities are thinking about it. So, as a company, first we have faced issues not to source APIs because we're API producers, but raw materials from Asia. So, our teams, purchasing teams, and supply chain are struggling every week, if not every day, to make sure we have the right raw materials because some of them are coming from Asia, and on a weekly basis, our risks are changing. So this is first as a chemical company. What we have to change? Yes, we need to, let's say, to implement back again generic production and, let's say, key intermediates and some raw materials in Western countries. We need to balance the risk. Today, we are too much Asian dependent for chemicals in pharma. We need to balance the risk. What does it mean? We need to have local suppliers and we need to have strategic stocks. Would they come from Asia or from Western suppliers? And what does it mean? It means that, I mean, we need to be able to supply generics and to be even more involved in the new, let's say, pharma products development. For the first case, to implement generics, it means you need to have capacities. I don't know exactly how our competitors in terms of capacities, free capacities. As Minakem, we are quite full, not completely full, but quite full. If you ask me, okay, you need to make new generics in the next 2 years, I will need capacities. They are not free of charge. So this means that as, let's say, as Western countries, as Europe, and as countries like France or Belgium, but better together as Europe, we need to establish a strategy for back implementation of, let's say, chemical APIs in Europe. And this has to go through a holistic, circular economical view involving states, banks, investors, and industry. We cannot go alone because we will not have the means compared to other, let's say, countries. I've seen that India decided of a strategic plan involving multi-billions of dollars or euros to create new chemical parks to reply to the Chinese, let's say, crisis of supply of API for their finished product industry, being local or being, let's say, for international markets. We need to do the same, but it's Europe. It's maybe more complicated than India. But if we don't do it, we will miss a chance to come back to, let's say, a stronger chemical pharma industry and to be able to manage the next risk about pharma supply chain in Europe.
Big changes afoot and ahead for everybody. How interesting to hear your take on that. Now, how do you think a company like Minakem can contribute better to human health?
First of all, I mean, yes, Minakem is a chemical company, but we're a chemical company who is working exclusively for pharma customers to provide the end patients, you and me, our families, the communities, to provide finished products, to provide drugs. If Minakem or a sister company or competitor does not exist anymore, it's 70%, I would say, of the pharma, let's say, raw materials, the API that will disappear, will vanish. So we are essential for the patients. Our existence is vital for the pharma industry. So first of all, this is how we can contribute. If we're not here, 70% of the pharma API supply disappear. Second thing is that we are here also to facilitate, to support our customers by, let's say, making drugs coming to market with quality, with safety of product in terms of the product is safe for the patient, and also as soon as possible. So there is a time to market, especially for development products, which is essential. So this is how we can, let's say, support the pharma industry by safety of products, quality of products, but also being inventive to accelerate the time to market.
So touching on those, how can the time to market be accelerated without any increase in costs?
What we need to know, what we need to do is to understand absolutely the needs of the customers. What do they need, and when, to find methods to shorten, let's say, duration of studies, to be creative in supplying one batch for various purposes. But the difficulty is not to supply the batch, is to supply the batch with the right deliverables. What do they need in terms of quality specifications? So our job is really to understand the customer needs and to provide the right methods. That could be some high throughput screening during, let's say, process development that we can do. It could be also to propose, if possible, different, let's say, chemical routes to customers to shorten their pathway. That might be acceptable for the customer if we propose a route that is kind of robust because we have some experience. If you go to propose something new, which is new for the customer and for you, but looks good on paper, but you have never tried, the customer may look that as a risk, and pharma companies are usually kind of risk reluctant. So you really need to understand the customer project. And yes, one way to shorter the duration of, let's say, development and to accelerate time to market is, besides methods.
So are there any new technologies that have supported the development of a company like Minakem?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So We have used and we're still using flow chemistry. We are using enzyme catalysis. We have implemented very early in the life of Minakem process safety, which we thought was fundamental for the safety of our processes, our coworkers, but also for the products, because process safety has always a link with safety, of course, but also quality. Quality of products, and also process safety as a link with, let's say, speed to market. Because if you have a safe process, completely safe, you have no issue during development. You don't have to go back to the lab to reevaluate the process safety. So if in your standards you have process safety, it's, let's say, a criteria for robustness for your customers. Another technology we have used quite early as Minakem is solid-state chemistry, which is the link between the API and the formulation. It's used for, let's say, finding new new solid forms, and it's used also to characterize these solid forms, to create new IP, and it's used also to optimize your processes by improving the filterability, the drying, the flowability, and the particle size of your product, which is important for, let's say, the formulation, for solid formulation and others. Other technology is more like an equipment. I must say that, with the QBD approach for the development of new APIs for pharma, it's very important to have the right equipment to have, let's say, an efficient and rapid, let's say, work, because QBD generates a lot of data. You need to generate a lot of data. And when you say a lot of data, you obviously make the link with productivity, high throughput screening, automation. So I must say that, let's say, all the tools, I don't want to cite, let's say, suppliers of equipment. It's not the purpose of the call today. But I must say that, yes, these equipment were very important, not to be creative in terms of chemists, but to be productive as chemists in the course of the clinical development, the process development for new APIs, to make sure that we have in due time the QBD data necessary for let's say the filing of new products. This is the past, I will say, because it's already the past. Today, what is important for us is to anticipate the future. What I mean by that, today we see that there are new, let's say, modalities. There are new mode of actions for new actives, being biologicals, which is not Minakem, let's say, business today. We're not involved in biologicals, or chemicals, or there might be a conjugation of biologicals, chemicals, or metals, or other type of polymers, if you want. And as Minakem, what we need to do is to anticipate customer needs. For example, in the next 5-10 years, maybe 80% of our technologies will be relevant today for tomorrow, because the world is not going to change. Let's say the chemicals APIs, or the chemical part of APIs, being a mixture of chemicals, biologicals, or polymers, or any kind of species, the chemicals will not change dramatically. So with our technologies, we think we can face 80% of tomorrow challenges. But this 20% that I didn't mention yet is very important, because it's what might drive the business tomorrow. It's what might attract customers to you, because you're state of the art, you're understanding what's going on, you're able to work on these new molecules, very complex molecules. And if you are not, you may not be considered, and you might lose business each year. And at the end, you might become a less preferred supplier, or you might disappear or get acquired by another company because you did not take the right train. So for us, it's very important to understand these new mode of actions, to understand what do we speak about, what type of molecule is that. I mean, molecules, it's usually molecules which are complex with different type of, let's say, chemical, let's say, framework. And our role is to translate these global molecules into some molecules that we, Minakem, will be interested to work on, or we are able to, or if they are the future, how can we target these molecules? What is missing in our portfolio of tools, being chemical technologies or equipment or other technologies?
Thierry, thank you so, so much. It's been really fascinating talking to you. And I have to say that it is a relief from my side that 80% of chemicals are going to remain necessary in a changing world where everything else seems to not be remaining the same. It's quite nice to hear that something is going to keep structured. It's been brilliant to talk to you. Thank you so, so much for your time. Thierry Durand from Minakem, Managing Director. Thank you so much.
I thank you very much, and have a good day, and take care, of course.
You too.